Good evening and welcome to Detroit in Black and White. Wednesday edition. I'm Adolph Mongo. Good evening, Jim Nardone, our resident law enforcement expert, former police chief out of Trenton, Michigan. Hello, Jim.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. He's real low key now. Okay. Well, he got something up his sleeve. Allan Lengel, co-founder of Deadline Detroit.
Hello. Good evening.
How you doing, Allan?
I'm all right, man. By the way,
Uh,
next Wednesday we're going to be having Abdul El Sayed, the who's running for Senate. He's going to be a guest on next week. So
Okay, good.
yeah.
Last but not least, attorney Vanessa Moss. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, y'all. Hey, y'all. Listen, y'all know what we want you to do. We want you to hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Like, subscribe, and share. It costs you nothing. It's free. Thank you for watching Detroit in Black and White. We want you to like, subscribe, and share. We also want you to join in the comments. If you want to show your face, you're welcome to use your camera. And this link that's in the top left-hand corner. And if you don't want to show your face, you can always use the audio. But what we want you to do is join Detroit in Black and White because this is the greatest show on these YouTube streets. Good evening. And for those that are listening and driving, drive safe. The roads are real funky out there this evening.
They are. They real. Be
Yeah,
careful.
yeah, they are. Really bad.
Okay. Well, we done had so far a little hot week for the Democratic Party. Allan, why don't you talk about the poll that came out for the governor and Senate races?
Yeah. For the Senate race, there's a pretty tight race there. Haley Stevens and Mike Rogers are sort of neck and neck, and then Mallory McMorrow, I think, is about 3 points behind. And then El Sayed, the other candidate, the Democratic candidate, is, I think, they had him 6 points behind, which isn't that much considering, you've got a ways to go. I don't see it as really serious. The governor's race, I don't recall, I know there was a poll taken on grading Trump on his economy, and the plurality was that 48% said that he was either doing a D or an F. Another 38% gave him an A or a B, and then 17% gave him a C. And people mostly cited the majority of the 43% or whatever who or 48%, I can't remember, that were said that the economy was screwed up, pointed to groceries as being the highest priced thing going on. So
Well, it seemed that this coming year, Democrats might get swept. I've looked at the governor's race, and Duggan, the way it's going, either Republican or Duggan. I just don't see Benson winning. Vanessa, this discrimination suit against the Secretary of State by some black state workers, do you think that might hurt Benson and Detroit?
Definitely the publicity of it all. I think that it may hurt her. I think it's interesting that the attorney is somebody I know and somebody you know, Mr. Mongo, Leonard Mongo, who's been very successful in those kind of lawsuits. Um, I think that they're going to do, when I say they, I mean the Democratic Party is going to do a whole lot of work, and they're going to be trotting out, and I shouldn't say trot out, but they're going to present people of the Democratic Party to come and court folks to support her. They no longer have, I wouldn't be surprised if the lieutenant governor would be out there campaigning for Jocelyn Benson. The reason I say that is this:
Unbelievable.
it's quite interesting that he was running for governor. It became very clear to us. We heard this news weeks ago, over a month ago, that he will probably be running for a Secretary of State. And I've heard some criticisms of him making that decision to pull out the race to become the governor. But the reality is, and I think Jim has said it, he didn't have the support of the party. The party had already said they had already ordained Jocelyn Benson as she's going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party. So I see this as a move. Listen, they had a meeting with him. Go ahead and get in the race. Run for Secretary of State. We'll back you. I don't know this for sure, but
But you know,
we'll back you, and he would, he would help them.
But you know that the nomination for Secretary of State goes through the convention, and that I don't know if he has enough delegates to win it. Jim, let me ask you this: if you were forced out of a race, you're a politician, and they put you in another race, and then they ask you to campaign for the person that helped kick you out that race. Would you campaign? Should Garland Gilchrist campaign for the party?
Oh, Garland Gilchrist will campaign for the party. It's already a done deal. They made a deal with Garland Gilchrist to get him out of the way to ensure her clear path to the nomination. I don't think there's any question about it. So here we talk about a lawsuit. In the last few days, the Michigan Democratic Party Black Caucus this week endorsed Jocelyn Benson for governor, Horace Sheffield III, Kim Worthy. All these people are getting in line behind Jocelyn Benson. This makes it easier for them. They don't have to worry about Garland Gilchrist, a fellow Detroiter. So I think that this is by design. I think it's the same people that probably told Garland Gilchrist in the beginning, we're not going to support you if you run for governor. And he got the message. And
it took him a long time to get the message because Garland Gilchrist, I talked to him a couple years ago. I did a fundraiser for Garland Gilchrist because I like the guy. And I asked him, was he running for governor? He was adamant about running for governor. He didn't want to run for mayor, didn't want to run for Congress, didn't want to run for the U.S. Senate. He wanted to run for governor.
Didn't want to run for Secretary of State.
No, hell no. That's not even Secretary of State. People are tired of the Democrats throwing the Secretary of State as a bone to black candidates because they want to get them out of the way to not run for Attorney General, not run for governor, not run for what's the other U.S. Senate.
Yes, the U.S.
Yeah, federal. Yeah, the only seats open is Secretary of State. You can run for Congress. You might not get our money or support, but he was adamant that that's what he wanted to do. And I told him, I'll support you if you ran. The guy, obviously, he got pumped out by Whitmer last year when she said he was a loser. He couldn't win. And everybody, he's the Democratic bitch. That's what I call him. Because they have pumped him and poked him.
I'm not sure she said that. But I back to, of course, he's going to back the gubernatorial candidate because they're going to back him for Secretary of State.
Well, they're going to get him some. Are they going to get him? Are they going to get him those delegates to put him on the top? Allan Hollier. Now, people say, "Oh, he can't win because his failed candidacy for Congress." But there's a whole different ball game. You not campaigning for to thousands of people. You campaigning for a couple hundred folks that's going to vote for you in the convention. Are they sure they got enough votes for Garland to become the Secretary of State nominee? Otherwise, he's going to look like an idiot if he loses.
I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I think it is clear, and I think it's clear to Jim. It was clear to me, and it was clear to you, Adolph. I don't know where you stand, Allan, but it was clear that a deal was in the work, had been in the works, and they said, "Listen, if you run, we're going to back you." Now, whether or not they actually do it is going to be another question. But I think it's interesting that you have two young men who have carried the water for the Democratic Party, and because they decided to be one, at least, is an independent thinker, right? He decided he wanted to run for governor, and they said, nope, 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 you can't do that. We don't want you to do that. We want this. We want her to have the clear path.
And
so
already,
they did the same thing. What they're doing the same thing with the AG race. Listen, the path has been clear for Karen McDonald, and I don't have nothing against any of these people. I just think it's important that people understand how the game is played. As they say, they playing in our face. Go ahead, Allan.
Go ahead.
I think the Secretary of State's, I think at the convention, they're going to say, this is our guy, Garland Gilchrist.
It don't matter though. I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been there. I've been in the convention. I know how it operates, and I know how they put the pressure on folks to do things. But that's the old game. The new game is here. You have Allan Hollier. He dropped out of the congressional race because the Democrats asked him to, and then they asked him to run for Secretary of State. Now, how can you have two horses in the same race? You can't. You can't. So now they're going to fuck Allan Hollier, Adam Hollier. Are they going to fuck him? Well, I guess they are. If that's the case.
Why would he? Look, if Gilchrist didn't think he had a shot at it, why would he then?
Gilchrist is trying to. He don't want to get a real job, so he's up in Lansing, and that's what he want to do. He's desperate for a position. If they told him to run for Board of Education, State Board of Education, he probably would do it. Because if I was a lieutenant governor and my governor tells me that I'm a loser, I can't win, I'll go rogue on her, and I'll be her worst nightmare. She wouldn't do that.
But Adolph, even if you were to do something like that, how much of an impact do you think that it will have? I don't think much of an impact.
He couldn't go. Listen, the bottom line might be their worst nightmare. But
money to support him.
No, I'm not talking about running. I'm talking about being on their ass and say don't vote for them and shit. Now there's ways to deal with that kind of stuff. And Jim, you was the police chief. That's politics too. I'm sure there was somebody else that thought they might get it, and when it was all over, did the city council have to vote you in?
No, it's a mayoral appointment.
Okay, yeah.
Probably a long shot, but I still got it. There's a couple questions out there, Adolph. I think this one's for you. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Who is they? And Terry McCrimmons is a black man getting double crossed. Why? I'm shocked.
Oh, they is the Democratic Party. That's who they is. That's those folks that hide behind the closed doors, the chair, and all the other people. Yes, yeah, that's who they are. That's who they are.
And good evening, Karen C. Winston.
Yeah.
Dorian, the state is inherently racist in our political tone. No black governors, token political jobs only. And I just want to talk about that just for a second. Garland Gilchrist would have been a good candidate. He was never their candidate. They or their candidate to lead the state of Michigan. I think that's a fact.
Yeah. That is a fact.
Right at the gate. When he said that he was going to run, they told him not to do it. He says, I'm going to do it anyway. And again, we're not going to support you. And what I see is they did everything they could to
get him out of there. Get him out of there. It was a whisper campaign that he was a loser.
Right. And so it's really unfortunate. And you know what's happening? I read, I'm on social media. I'm sure Allan sees it as well. How people are saying, oh my God, he's running for Secretary of State. You have one faction that says, oh, that's a good fit for him. And then you have other people like, yeah, no, he weak. He shouldn't have done that kind of thing. So I wonder how much support he's going to garner as a result of him flipping and saying, hey, I'm running for Secretary of State.
It depends on who's, if he gets the nomination. Yeah. And it looks like he probably is a front runner. Who's he runs against? Let's take a break, and we'll come back and we'll continue the conversation. Democratic Party, full of shit. That's my take.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Well, I see where when Trump visited Detroit, one of the Ford workers called him a pedophile, and he in return said "fuck you," and they said you're going to be fired. So allegedly.
And he gave him the finger.
Yeah.
I'm following it, but the guy, they've raised in 2 different GoFundMe's over $800,000 for the guy. Trump is making that guy great again. He's over $800,000.
I have a problem. I don't have a problem with him. What he called the Trump, and he had to get suspended. They might fire him, but 800 grand.
You know what it is? It's an expression of support around the country, probably around the world. I think people are so happy that he did it and got under his skin.
Well, but one of the problems I had with the media reported that, but it's like Trump got a pass. He can say "fuck you," "kiss my ass," and everything else, and nobody cares.
Well, I'm going to get in here for a minute. Listen. We all know they talk about free speech. You can say whatever you want, but you have to make a determination how much of that free speech you're going to have to pay for. He's the president of the United States. They knew that the president of the United States was coming. You may not like him, but you don't have to be disrespectful. And so I'm not a fan of being disrespected. I just had an issue yesterday, so I might be experiencing PTSD. But to me, it was very disrespectful. Trump didn't call him a MFer or a pedophile. This guy started. Don't start none.
But the president, governor, they get heckled. Mayors get called names. I worked for a mayor that when we went places, people was calling him all kind of names and stuff. But he never responded with "fuck you" and giving the finger to somebody.
Believe, because I know he didn't have a problem getting on television cursing.
No, but he wasn't cursing people out. Period. But I'm just saying, people have a right to say what they want, and they have to deal with the consequences. And long as some Obama, Biden, Bush, they all had to deal with it. Jim, go ahead, Jim.
I want to get to some of our friends out there that have been spending their time watching the show.
Let me before you read that, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Let me say something real quick. Vanessa, look, there's certain protocol, there's certain behavior expected, but on the other hand, for a guy who's such a rotten person who's abusing the FBI raided a reporter's house today. They're arresting people on this. The guy is abusing power. 4 people in the Civil Rights Division quit in the Department of Justice because they refused to even look into the matter of the shooting. So when somebody has an opportunity to speak out and express their rage, he didn't expect a GoFundMe, but he thought it was worth it. And I applaud him, frankly.
I have no problem with him. Go ahead, Jim.
Wait a minute. Let me respond to Allan. Listen, I'm saying this, and I'm standing on this. He's the president of the United States. You knew he was coming into your house. If you decided to be disrespectful, guess what? If you don't start none, it won't be none. I don't have a problem with him getting that money.
And he gotta earn respect because he don't earn nobody's respect.
All I'm saying is the president is definitely held to a different standard than Vanessa Moss or Allan Lengel or Adolph Mongo or Jim Nardone. And guess what? We know how to behave. I may not like you. I don't know if
I don't know if I got an opportunity to tell Trump to go fuck himself. I might do it. Go ahead, Jim. Read some of the stuff.
So you don't have to worry about getting suspended from your job. Go ahead.
Right. Go ahead, Jim.
A shared story says, Vanessa, you were right. Don't you know by now that for the past 150 years, this is G-Money Hollywood, that we live in a direct democracy, which is equivalent to communism. But he was disrespected, and regardless, he's our president. And that oath has to be respected. Boo, you bum. Have to be acceptable free speech currency. Winston Dorian again said, Trump deserves to be disrespected, though. Shared story. Biden did the same thing. We forget that he also had an incident with a spicy UAW worker somewhere in Warren or Pontiac or Detroit. Somewhere.
Yeah, they didn't fire him, though, and they didn't suspend him.
Right.
Forget the party on for the person equipped to do the job. Miss Sheila, good evening to you, Miss Sheila. The plant manager is black, by the way. Dorian, Mr. 1213. Whitmer probably endorsed Dana Nessel, who is term limited out. Mr. 1213, good evening to you. Richard Austin all over again. Dorian, G Money, the average politician comes to the table with weak educational credentials, emotional intelligence, and true connections for the real rights of the people. Gilchrist does not fit that narrative. He's better. I think you're right, G Money. I think the political process kind of swallowed up Garland Gilchrist, who probably would have been a pretty good governor for this state. And Miss Sheila says she'd step out of the party. Bill Lucas found out the hard way when he ran for governor, no support. Well, he ran as a Republican, I think. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yep, he did.
Susie Smith, good evening to you. Deborah Harris, thanks for your comment. Beulah R. Walker, Terry, we talked about his comment already. Dorian, we talked about that.
Tyner, Irene Matthews,
yeah. She's
from Texas. Okay.
Hey, Irene. Miss Sheila, no punk out funny. Irene Matthews, hello to you. Janet Overall's cousin. Janet's a good friend of the show, a good friend of ours. Today's politics are a joke. Most people run for office for popularity and to secure a pension. Garland comes across. I think our viewers understand who Garland Gilchrist is more than the Democratic Party understands who Garland Gilchrist is. Thanks, Janet, for getting your cousin to watch. Mongo called it a few weeks ago. Greetings, G-Money Hollywood. We're talking to you. It's sad. We agree with you. Good evening, Stephanie Jackson, Deweyla, Tracy. We talked about Deborah, Jill Sheridan. Good evening to you. I think we're good. I think we're caught up. Thank you all for paying attention tonight. Thank you for being a part of the show.
Go ahead, Allan.
The guy was not expecting $800,000. In fact, I think the actual ask was like maybe $15,000 or $18,000 to cover, some expenses and stuff while he was suspended. It wasn't meant to be, but it became.
Well, I don't have a problem with him getting any money. You give somebody some money, they should be able to do whatever they want to do with it and spend it, and good for him. And all I'm saying is, to get respect, you got to give respect. We got a president that don't respect shit. He don't respect anybody.
He did not call Donald Trump a pedophile.
What he said? He said, "Go ahead."
Protector.
Go ahead, Allan.
He called him a pedophile protector,
referring to Jeffrey Epstein.
And
yeah,
there's no question about it. He has made statements over the years that Jeffrey Epstein likes the women, and he goes, and they say sometimes kind of young. So it wasn't like he didn't know what was going on. But
well, Allan, I'm going to ask you a question. As much as you dislike the president of the United States, would you have said anything like that?
I would not have said something like that, but I don't have. Know what? I would. To be honest, I thought about it the other day. If I had the opportunity to meet him, I'd have a hard time meeting him, but I wouldn't spit in his face in that way. But that's, everybody has a different idea. People are outraged in this country. Half the country is, or half, and I think it's eroding. People are angry, and so we all express our anger in different ways.
Well, where he has to suffer the consequences of where he's going to spend 800,000. I know if he gets up to $1 million, he don't need to go back to work.
Maybe buy a couple of Ford vehicles.
I would buy
that's a great question. Did Donald Trump meet with the new mayor of Detroit and Stephanie Jackson? Calling someone a pedophile is beyond the spirit. D. Hughes agrees. Good evening, Cynthia Johnson. Did Donald Trump meet with Mayor Sheffield? I don't know if he even went to Detroit. Well, he was.
He didn't go to Detroit. He's not meeting with the mayor of Detroit. And speaking of the mayor of Detroit, what do you think of her appointment of a poverty czar, so to speak? Does it make sense?
I think that's great. I think it's, look, we've got, when Duggan left, I think they were saying it was, poverty was on the rise. Childhood poverty is really high. I think, hopefully there's some, that means a commitment. I mean, this guy's from the University of Michigan running a poverty program there. I think they were working with Detroit anyway.
Michigan is not, the university is not poverty stricken, so that don't mean shit.
No, I have a question for everybody. What can the mayor of Detroit do to reduce poverty? Give me some examples.
Well, I think we can make sure that people are getting the bare necessities and, monitoring that, figuring out, housing and work. I mean, housing, food, education. I think, hopefully that all intertwines, intersects with poverty. And
I appreciate it, but I think it's a bigger issue than the mayor of Detroit.
And I agree with you, Jim. And I feel like it looks good. It sounds good. Let's see what happens. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it might be dressing on,
Yes, I mean, you give people with.
They just created another department in the city where they're going to hire people.
I'm not impressed.
Well, I'm not impressed because that wasn't even part of her agenda. That was part of other candidates' agenda when people talked about poverty, and that wasn't looked upon as I remember when Coleman Young ran against Duggan and talked about poverty, they dismissed that like he don't have shit to say. And poverty is an issue. Poverty is an issue in the public schools where kids can't. You think these kids can afford some of the shit that other kids take for granted? Go into Detroit public schools. They hungry, they dirty, they living in conditions that they shouldn't be. Don't have water in some of these houses. Don't have heat. You have to unless the mayor of Detroit can give everybody waive the fees for water and heat and all that other stuff. That's one way of getting people out of poverty, but it can do it.
But D mentions reduced property taxes. Go ahead.
I think that when you say, that was Reverend Kinlock's issue, that's what campaigns are about. Raising issues, raising important issues. So
but our mayor been on the city council 12 fucking years. 12 fucking years and never talked about poverty.
Well,
never talked about it in 12 years.
Kinlock pressed it as an issue, and she thought that's a legitimate issue there.
Yeah, that wasn't a legitimate. She thought that I need something when I go take office. Appoint another layer of bureaucracy in the city. They gonna have whatever many people in that department, and most of the people in that department don't know a damn thing about being poor.
So I'm going to say this, Allan, I agree with you that when you have a race and people bring up issues, that's fine. That you say, oh, that is an issue. I'm going to address it. The problem is, I believe I said it from the start. I'm not impressed and I'm not pressed. Let's see what happens with a czar. I mean, what is the czar going to do? If you don't have the money, if you don't have the support for all of these things, what difference will it make? I
Go
mean,
ahead, Jim.
hopefully that we see some progress on that issue, but I just don't look. Listen. It's a title as far as I'm concerned, but we'll see.
Hey,
Go ahead,
Dominique,
Jeff.
thank you. You're late, but you're not too late. Thank you for joining us. Morel Peter and D. Hughes said reduce property taxes. Well, how is she going to reduce city tax?
Listen, reduced property taxes, all kind of taxes. The bottom line, you go into these neighborhoods and you see the conditions that some of these people are living in, and they got people preying on their quality of life, which is not much. We look at whether they got to go shopping, look at how far they got to go send their kid to a school, or the truancy rate is outrageous. Used to have truancy officers. They don't have any of that now. It's terrible.
Maybe they can get vouchers for electricity from DTE for the water bill. Now that would be something.
Jim, what you're talking about is socialism. You can't be a socialist, Jim. You can't do that. You can't tell people they can't pay their bills. You got to pay your water bill. We got so many fires in this city because people got fucking gas heaters and all kind of other stuff that they have to keep warm and stuff. 12, 14 people living in a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom house about to fall apart. Yeah, well, you have to talk to some of these police officers and fire folks, and they'll tell you when they go to some of these places that the inside of these places look like they can't describe the shit, and that's poverty. And they send their kids to school. Some of them don't have clean clothes, all kind of shit. Where you got teachers taking money out of their pocket, putting it together, and they got clean clothes. I know because I've been married to a teacher who had to give kids shirts, underwear, and all kind of other stuff, toothbrushes. It's just ridiculous. And we talking about poverty czar. Damn, I hope U of M give about a $20-30 million towards the DPS to clean up some of this shit.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Deborah Harris. Thank you, Angela. Mr. Duckett.
This is what we want you guys to do.
Right.
Besides, like, subscribe, and share. Besides joining in the comments, listen, we get excited when we have somebody use that camera and join in on the conversation. We're asking you to join in on the conversation. We want to hear your voice, Janet, D. Hughes, Dorian Denard. Go ahead and use that link and join us on Detroit in Black and White.
Can I be a little more? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So I forgot. I lost my train of thought.
Go ahead, Jen.
I just wanted to be a little more clear on what I was talking about. What we use socialism by that argument to get new police cars and ambulances. I'm talking about maybe the czar, maybe the mayor has a goal to work with private industry, a private public partnership to be able to at least minimize poverty. And what I mean by that is, if there's people reaching out for help, DTE, Ford Motor Company, whoever it may be, the Illiches, you can call it socialism if you want, but there's people out there suffering, and there's got to be a way to help them, is what I'm getting.
Well, when we give 20-year, 30-year tax abatements to these billionaires, they should be giving something back in return.
Well, listen, Jim, I don't disagree with you, but it seems to me if that is what was that's on the horizon, that was part of the plan. It seems like when you rolled out the fact that we have this guy who's the czar, it would have been a plan to say this is what the czar is going to do. All I know is that we have a czar. That's it. I mean, maybe they did roll it out. Do you guys know what it is? You know what the plan is? Okay.
I don't. Good evening.
Well, I'll tell you the plan. I'll tell you how they dealt with poverty. I'll tell you how they dealt with poverty back in the 60s when I was a kid and I lived in an impoverished area. because Allan can tell you that in Royal Oak Township, we lived in the projects, and every summer they start sending these Vista students and other coordinating programs to Royal Oak Township. They were sending them all over the country, but they brought in they tutor kids on how to read and write a sentence, and they brought in an opportunity to get food and all this other shit. That was under Lyndon Johnson and in the early '60s, and then you had those programs. You had those commodity programs, as they called it, where they gave folks bread, butter, etc., and paid rent. Vouchers, Jim. So yes, people that was on the state aid, that's what they got.
I'm merely trying to say what maybe some of his efforts to try and.
Well, you don't have to reinvent the wheel because all that shit is on paper right there. They had neighborhood youth corps where they paid kids on the summer. They got paid. They had money in their pockets. These kids walk in the street, either they can have to sell some dope or some shit.
They don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to challenge you and say they don't reinvent the wheel. What they do is put a different name on it, put a different color of lipstick on it. They recycle the same thing over.
But they haven't done shit. I haven't even seen the recycle shit. Because what? Recycle jobs and food and shit, I'll take it. But they don't even have that shit. Listen, who knows how many percentage in Detroit is living in poverty and outside of Detroit? Because everything ain't hunky-dory every place else. And there's poverty everywhere. Downriver, upriver, cross 8 Mile Road, Macomb, Oakland. Yeah, you got poverty. But Detroit is the largest city in this state. And they got the most of everything, the most crime, the most this, the most that, and so we got a poverty czar now. Oh, Mr. thank Duckett, you, Jesus.
Mr. Duckett hit it on, and that was going to be my closing day, but he beat me to the punch. We shouldn't have kids. We should do everything we can to make sure kids aren't dying in a frozen casino garage, regardless.
Right, right. Mm-hmm. Right, or up in Pontiac, where the woman kept her kids locked up in the house, just treating them like animals, feeding them once a week and shit. And it's just unbelievable that we got families like that.
Resources aren't getting to the people, is his point. Yeah. The resources are not getting to the people.
Yeah, we're gonna turn it for a minute because there's a question here. So there's a question to ask the panel, and I think it's quite interesting. This is from Ann Ricks. Good evening. It says, how do you feel about the proposal from the city council? It's only one city council person to ask for this, to include the council and the mayor being a part of the land bank.
Well, we all know
I don't think about it.
It's a power grab.
Absolutely.
It's a power grab because we got those folks on the outside that supported this new administration. They can't wait to get their hands on the land bank. I don't care how many houses is left to sell. There's a ton of vacant property that they can't wait to take control of it. Yeah, that's what I think about it. Allan, you wanted to say something.
No. I was going to say one of our viewers was saying that the money from the auto charity event, the ball or whatever, is only going to Forgotten Harvest. As far as I know, I mean, there's a list. It goes to a lot of places. The Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan, the Children's Foundation. It goes to a lot of different charities around the region. So I think it just does not go to the harvest. But I think basically the bottom line is, in our society and in our city, no one should go hungry. There is so much food out there in so many different ways, and there's food banks and whatever. There's restaurants that have food that they don't use. There's so many different venues to, nobody should go to bed hungry in the city.
But they do, Allan. They do. They do. They do. They do. And I just hope this new administration get it together. As I remember being part of administration where that $200,000 worth of food was allowed to spoil in a warehouse because they was playing politics. Said, you don't remember that, do you, Allan?
Yes.
Yes, and and shit like that, people should go to jail for letting that happen. And so we got to get our elected officials make them do their job, because they're not doing the job. And I won't hear about all this other shit. Don't work with ICE. That's coming from one city council member. We got more important things than ICE been in Detroit a long time.
Well,
so it ain't going away.
But I think ICE is an issue.
ICE is an issue, but they're not going away. The FBI might be an issue. They're not going away. They're not leaving Detroit. But I think we got people that says, fuck all that shit. I need a job and I need some food. And I need my lights on or my water. They don't even have water on. How can you live when you don't have water in your house?
I agree, but there's different issues for different people. Look, in Southwest Detroit, we have a big Hispanic population. They're going around picking up people.
They got more issues than just ICE, because what you saying, everybody in Southwest Detroit is here illegally?
No, I'm saying that people are here who are here legally are worried about getting picked up.
They voted for the person that put ICE in place in their community. Because they was Hispanics for Trump, the blacks for Trump, all these people for Trump, and that's what they got. So I'm not worried about that. That's what they got to deal with.
Well, I disagree with you when you say.
Okay. Well, you can disagree with me, but I feel that way.
93% of the black people in Detroit voted against Trump.
They didn't even vote. That 92% of the people that voted might have voted against Trump, but most of them didn't vote. They didn't vote, period.
And the Hispanics, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'll still say the majority.
A lot of the Hispanics in Southwest Detroit, they don't vote either. It's a very low turnout. But we have a viewer who made the suggestion that they believe that the land bank, a portion of the property owned by the land bank, should go to the homeless. Sounds like an idea, but they still have to have heat. They have to have gas. They have to have light. They have to make sure that the house is habitable. I mean, that's a nice, and this is Vanessa's opinion, that's a nice idea. But then again, you have to have something to support it. That is not an easy fix. It's not.
Well, we can give people houses and stuff, but they still got to be able to maintain it. Listen, we can send a person to your place or Allan's place or Jim's place, and that means they don't have the funds to keep the lights on, the water running, the upkeep, etc. It's more than just that. They're more than just giving somebody something. It's putting them in a situation where they can make stuff happen. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll finish up.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabria, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Can I add something here?
Go ahead, Jeff.
I just wanted to comment on what Allan said. Allan's absolutely right. The majority of Detroiters, by a great margin, didn't vote for Donald Trump, but it was the 10 or 20,000 in Detroit and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and Newark that got Donald Trump elected, because those votes mattered. That's how he won those 7 swing states.
Yep, and you're absolutely right. And these folks crying, but you got to do more than just got vote. How do we make our schools better? We don't make our schools better by a school board giving another contract to a superintendent that sent his kids to another school district. That the schools are falling apart in the city, but we patting him on the back and say he's superintendent of the year. And we know that he's been trying in the last 2 years, getting us a job in Texas and Florida, where they didn't select him, but he won't out. But right now, it's a gravy job because you don't have to do shit.
And thank you, Deborah. Don't paint a black brush on everything. If you're referring to my comment, I was merely talking about urban areas that voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah, the ones that made the difference. You're absolutely right, Jim. It made the difference, and they made the difference. He got this vote, he got that vote. Yeah.
So Terry McCrimmon says, we are not about to get in the streets and fight ICE. Let the people that are here illegally deal with that. I'm proud Black American nationwide have gotten the memo. Jill says the czar can implement a plan to arrange housing for the unhoused on some of that vacant land. Tiny homes with heat and water. Then people can work.
Ain't gonna happen.
Vanessa?
G Money Hollywood says H2O, education and healthcare should be free. With all the money and resources this country have, at least one of those resources should be free. America would really earn their name. That will be the day.
Will you get the Wano? I was trying to get Wano.
Hey, Wano, he said, we give money to illegals. It's no excuse. All the money we give to Israel. Do y'all really think Kamala would have done better?
I want to address Terry McCrimmon.
Anybody want to address Wano?
After Allan, sure.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Terry says, we're not about the streets and fight ICE. The fight against ICE isn't, it's a treatment. Even if some of the people here are here illegally, it's a treatment of how they're treated. But also, there are so many people. I have my niece has a good friends, a couple. The guy was from Mexico. He was a lawyer from Mexico. He lived here in Detroit with his wife and child, and they moved back to Mexico. He was here legally. He was a citizen, and he moved back because he didn't feel safe. He didn't feel safe that he wasn't going to get picked up. They're picking up people, and look, they're doing that. They've been doing it to Black people forever. Cops stopping people because you're Black. Yeah. So to ignore and say, I don't care about that.
But Allan, you know what? The Black community got more than one thing to deal with. So ICE is not at the top. Is not at the top of the food chain.
And listen, a lot of people feel like, look, don't tell me. And I'm going to piggyback on what Adolph said. A lot of people in the Black community are offended that you have the powers that be to tell them what their issues should be and what they should fight for. As Adolph said, those are not the ills in their community, and they're not worried about it. And Terry is saying, as a Black man, that is how he feels, and he's not the only person that feels that way.
But I
sympathize with the folks in Southwest Detroit and stuff. And knowing that you can't send your kid to a school or go to church or whatever, they waiting on you because they done got a tip from somebody that's saying that you here illegally, overstayed your visa or whatever, or you suspected of not being a citizen. No, I sympathize, but that is not for Black community is not on the top of the list. It's not number 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, or 10.
So I'm gonna tell you. Jill Sheridan, Adolph, I know my family calls me a dreamer. That's what we love about Jill. Wano talks about trying to go over to Canada. He made a mistake a few years ago, and basically he's not allowed back in Canada. So the point is, it's a bigger issue than the ICE strategy, which is awful. there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, right? We can
Yeah.
look the strategy and absolutely critique the strategy. You can't overrun cities, and it shouldn't happen. But I mean,
No, it shouldn't happen.
in
It
this
shouldn't happen.
situation is a
We shouldn't
question.
have the woman getting killed in Minneapolis, but we've been there. We've been down that road where we done had folks get killed. Sandra Good, Louisville. I can name a whole list. And the Justice Department do the same damn thing and just ignore it and keep pushing. So
let me say this, because I remember Allan said this. I agree with Allan that you have the right to protest, right? But I asked, and we weren't on air, I said, would you have gone to a protest? And Allan said, no, I probably would not have. And that is, to me, an important question that people have to ask themselves. I recall
What protest
a
were you
long
talking
time
about?
ago. Hold on a second. I remember a long time ago, I went to protest and I took my kids with me. And my then husband called and he said, where the are you? And I told him, I'm out here at Fairlane, you know, with what's his name?
Lord and Taylor.
Yeah, what's the DJ name? What's the
Mason.
Yeah, I had Travis out there with a sign saying no justice, no peace, and all of that. And of course, he gave me some very harsh words. What the F are you doing out there? You bring my MF and kids home. He didn't usually talk to me like that. And because of his tone, he was actually right. The point that I'm trying to make is you can do that, but it's always something. Somebody ends up getting hurt, pepper sprayed, or whatever. I support the protest by lending my talents. Listen, I'd rather use my talents to get somebody out of jail, to make sure that they have adequate representation, that kind of thing. So when you talk about that lady, that poor lady that lost her life, I wonder, did you even do that analysis? Like, should I do something like this?
Okay, I want to say something. When when we care together, we can't. When one group says, "I don't give a shit, that's not my problem," or whatever. You don't have to be on the front lines, but to say, "I don't care about that," it's like, look, the civil rights movement wasn't only about Black people marching in protest. The Black Lives Matter wasn't only Black people. It was.
But I can tell you, and you talk about the civil rights movement, those same people that went down south and protested when the Black folks moved next door to them in Birmingham or West Bloomfield, they got the fuck out of there. The same ones that marched for equality in South Carolina. So it depends. You're right, Allan.
The same ones. It was probably the ones who didn't give a shit about the Black people who moved to Birmingham or whatever. It's not.
Well, we got some of those. We got some of those real liberal folks that was liberal in the civil rights. They are worse conservatives today as they got older. So I don't care about that anymore.
Are the worst for those that aren't liberal. I'm sorry. Some of those that extreme, you have extreme on both sides. And I believe that most of us are in the middle. It drives most people bananas. So when you hear people like Terry McCrimmon saying, hey, I ain't participating, and Wano saying, listen, you guys don't listen to us, and Wano, we giving you your props. We're reading your comments.
Well, why don't he come on the show? Why don't he come on the show?
Come on the show, Wano.
Yeah,
use your camera.
But Wano is not wrong.
No,
we have to set priorities. The problem is nobody should die for some political stupidity. But this is all political. It was political when the last administration did it, and it's political when Trump did it. It's all politics. It's been
politics. It's been politics going back when people stopped protesting. Allan is right about the civil rights movement, Black Lives Matter, but it's all politics. That's the name of the game, and that's what we have to deal with. Yeah, but tell the young man,
take your phone and put the camera on it, and like you do in a restaurant, it'll come up, and then you could just join us in the conversation. Yes, anytime. And that's for anybody else. D Love, Angela, Mr. 1213, D Hughes, Deborah Harris, Jill Sheridan, Terry McCrimmon, G Money Hollywood. Kenneth Reed, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Kenneth.
Karen, that's my girl, Karen Winston. Stephanie Jackson, you don't have to show your face. You could just have your voice. You could just use audio so that we can hear you. Come on, join Detroit Black and White, Mr. 1213. Let's go. More.
Well,
But let's find out. Let's get to the bottom of it. People are villainizing ICE, and ICE has been a good agency. When we're talking about 1 or 2 or 5 or 50 different instances, let's
Jim, what I'm talking about, ICE, what I don't like, they hiring all these inexperienced assholes who come in with a mask over their face, and those are the ones that make ICE look bad. Now, I'm gonna just tell you. So ICE is out of control because they need to control. They need not put neophytes on the front line going into communities.
But ICE, you're talking about we always do this. We talk about a small group of people. This is
small group.
There's probably 100,000 people in ICE. We're talking about 50.
But that don't stop. And listen, when we talk about police brutality, we're only talking about a small group of folks. But they cause the biggest problems in all our communities. So, and when you can't get rid of those kind of people, you're gonna have those issues, and ICE got that issue.
But not everybody
Allan,
believes ICE is wrong. Only half the people believe what ICE is doing, or a third believe that it's okay.
Okay,
so
well,
you have to address all of them, not just your side.
That's a story of another day. Allan, you have your final thoughts, and you can say what you want on your final thoughts. Go ahead.
I agree with Adolph on that sure that ICE. I covered for Detroit News and the Washington Post. I covered federal agencies, and ICE has done some good things, but right now it's just an agency out of control because they're just hiring at. That you've seen it in police departments where they are desperate. They do this big push. They lower the standards, and you end up having these classes they had in DC. They've had in Detroit, where the class of '93 ends up with a whole rap sheet. They're committing crimes left and right. Things are happening too quickly, and people's lives are at stake. I mean, look, we all want to have safe borders. We don't want to have porous borders, but we got somebody.
There's Wano.
Wano.
All right. Anyways, let's bring on Wano.
Okay, we ended up with him.
Go ahead.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We doing
good.
What you got to say, Wano?
I didn't want to interrupt, but I'm just listening to this conversation. It's impossible to tell me that one hand we give away all this money to migrants, and on the other hand, American citizens don't have homes to stay in, or they can't have room in the shelter, as somebody was saying in the comments. And I think where our resources are being applied at is all the way wrong. And then to listen to you guys, it ends up talking in a circle jerk, which is why a lot of younger people don't even get involved. Like, to speak to your voting point, I do know voting counts, but if every point is going to get involved in a circle jerk, then nothing gets done. And I just wonder, because it hasn't been addressed, how do we have money for illegal migrants, which in any other country you would be arrested, but we are supposed to defend something that is illegal? And then there's more effort being put into migrants than has been put into me as an American citizen when I face that same harassment. We watched our federal government be used to make RICO charges on people for misdemeanor crimes, and no one said nothing. But the whole country is supposed to be in an uproar over illegal migrants when most of us cannot go to Canada? Does that make sense to y'all?
What do you mean you can't go to Canada? What do you mean by that?
Most people in Detroit went to Canada the wrong way once before, and they got arrested and treated how they were treated and not allowed over there. I can go to Canada, but 1 in 5 Detroiters cannot. And that's their law, and we respect it. So why should our laws not be respected?
So,
Okay,
Wano,
go ahead.
Wano, you got a lot of people in the comment section that support what you said. When you say we talking a circle jerk, I don't know who you're talking about specifically.
No, not one of y'all individually are
You
talking
talking
in a
about in
circle
the
jerk.
okay? You
I'm
talking about
saying
holistically? Okay.
I'm saying it ends up in a circle jerk because nobody is talking about the real issue. And the real issue is there is no way our country has money to do the things that it does that are illegal
They
and
pick
immoral, but we
they
don't
pick
have
and
money
choose.
to.
They pick and choose. Their stuff is pick. They pick and choose of what they pay for. Thank you, because our time is running out. Vanessa, your final thought.
Exactly.
Listen, my final thought is one, I want to thank Wano and listen. All of you guys can do the same thing. Don't be afraid to join in Black and White. We'll be back Friday evening at 8:30 p.m. We're going to have a spirited conversation. If you're out in these here streets, not just the YouTube streets, but out in the Metro Detroit area streets, we want you to drive carefully because we want you to be able to join the conversation this Friday. Like, subscribe,
Jim.
share. Like, subscribe, and share.
Jim.
Just quickly, Jill is saying that the ICE agents aren't well trained. The man that was involved in the shooting was a 10-year military veteran and a 15-year Border Patrol and ICE veteran. I guess he was well trained. I don't know how they're training. I can't answer that because I'm not down at FLETC in Georgia. But thank Wano for his comment. I thought Wano was spot on.
He was spot on. He was spot on, and I thank everybody else for all their comments and stuff.
I want to say real quick. There are people here illegally, but we start to demonize immigrants who are, as we forget when we go to the grocery store and pick some fruit off the table there. Who picked that? When we go to a hotel room, who's cleaning our rooms? Who's in the service industry or whatever. And I think we demonize. We put them all together.
We always we always demonize those workers. When our black mothers was cleaning people's houses, white folks' houses, back in the day, they was demonized. We always been demonized. And now they the new people to be demonized. But this country was founded on immigrants. And we study and we need more to come in that can bring new life to this country. We need them in Detroit. Yep. But so enough said. We'll be back on Friday. Detroit in Black and White. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Vanessa, Jim, and Allan.